Thank you, Andy. Thank you for putting on a very interesting day. I've been listening to a number of presentations this morning and I've had to rewrite most of what I was going to say as a result of it. So bear with me as I go through this. By way of introduction, I'm quite old school about this. I've been at Euromonitor for more than 30 years. So life was simpler then. We published things on paper and they had their own sort of protective measures in there. What I'm going to do is really try to sort of tease out some of the commercial issues. I'm not a technical person, I've heard that said already today by a couple of people. I'm definitely not a techie, but I do come at this from a commercial and a usage perspective. I'm not going to give you a sales pitch. I think Euromonitor and its reputation stands or falls by itself. I am a market researcher, I am an economist, and I've spent a lot of time in the last 30 years working with librarians and government agencies on how to maximise what I call, and I use the words sort of advisedly, fair use of our data. Not fair use in the copyright sense, but use that adds value and utility to clients and also delivers an economic return to us. So this isn't a sales pitch, but I have to explain why these things are a concern of us. What we do is we are basically a market researcher that behaves like a publisher. We create our own content. We have 12 offices around the world, 900 plus employees, about half of whom create content. They write it, we pay their wages, and we have to monetize that in some way. 90% of our revenues are now non-UK. We are a major global information publisher, and we work and service international markets. Our clients are mainly corporates. Over 90% of our output is directed to corporate users in corporate environments, and our pricing is directed at that. And this is important because a lot of the tensions and the challenges we get and you have with our content is the huge price differential that we have by servicing the academic market. Which is, we understand that you cannot meet the commercial prices of the large corporate users, and we're very happy to service that demand and need. Your users, your students, your alumni, your faculty members are our clients. It's very important for us to be in and help you meet that information need. So, 97% of our revenues are global, but less than 1% of our academic market, which is under 10% of our market, is the UK. So that gives you some perspective of where we are in this. And the pricing, as I said, is a business model, and our sustainability is based on charging corporates for it and then heavily discounting the academic price point. So, is there a problem? Not particularly. I'll come on to two specific problems later, but generally it's a problem. One of the things I picked up first thing this morning was this is not about personal data. One of the solutions I come up with is that we need to know what users are doing, not because of what they're actually looking at and tracking their usage and building up personal profiles. It is just a device to protect our business model. So the unintended consequences I'm talking about here are, in a sense, when clients become customers and customers become clients and competitors. And what we're seeing here in the academic community, and we're talking about federated access management, is that your institutions are doing exactly what our business has done over the last 30 years. You're exploiting your intellectual property. You're growing your business. You're finding ways for a variety of reasons, whether it's funding, there are different funding models around the world, but you want to exploit what you're good at. And so in a sense, we're actually talking about the same thing. So the challenge for us and the challenge for you is going to be very similar. It's how you work within a global environment and the information culture that comes with that. Part of our challenge is the use and misuse of data. As I said, it's not about fair use, it's about what I call the unfair use, when our material is thrown back at us, not by your students and users, but by our commercial competitors who see it as a sort of chink in the defences that we use, technological and otherwise, to get to it. Increasingly it's international. Different information cultures around the world have different ways of doing with it, and they can see this sort of price differential and monetize it. So some of the particular things that have been flagged up for me, and I mean you'll recognise these better than I do. I don't use the word creep in a pejorative way. It's just what is happening as business models expand. The market determines it, and then we come back and sort the consequences out afterwards. So in the large part of this discussion is how we deal with the unintended consequences of what we do and how we sort of derive our own sort of business satisfaction. So some of those challenges, and like I can pick up on those specific ones. I didn't want to get into the detail about walk-in users, grey users, franchisees, and whatever. But I can come back to those later in the panel discussion. But how do we resolve the challenges? Well, basically, we can use one or more of those four solutions. Commercial solutions, price. This isn't, although I've said it is about price, it isn't about price, because it doesn't matter what we charge for our information. If people are abusing it and repurposing it against us commercially, that is the issue. So it does. So we do not have a problem in discounting to this market. It's what happens downstream and what happens to that data. So we could differentiate by product or service. We could make things quicker to get to. We could go more granular. We could do different things. But that, to me, strikes me as sort of self-defeating. We want to give all users the best information possible. So we need to come up with ways of dealing with that. My favourite solution is going to be technical solutions, and they're both downstream and upstream sides of it, and I'll come back to some thoughts on that at the end. Licensing, well, we're very pleased to work with EduServe. It is interesting how they sit there, and I think what I've heard today is some of the technical issues that we come up with work through discussions like this, but probably need more focused user groups where you've got a business librarian still working with EduServe and with us, the business information publishing community, to work out specific issues. But one of the things, the discussion earlier about the healthcare information, and I work with a lot of peers in the publishing sector, a lot of information is only published for the academic community. They don't have this sort of diversity of market issues to deal with. And going back to the information culture, it's an education thing. This isn't a hypothetical problem. I just want to give you two quick case studies of why we take this very seriously. These are both UK, North European-based situations. Within the last 10 years, we had a major breach of our data through a major academic institute, and it was a competitor taking out a corporate user's license. They completely abused it. They copied our data, repurposed it, republished it, and that was it. We got them on the old-fashioned copyright defence. They repeated all the mistakes that we deliberately put into our material to find that it's ours. And anyway, we settled that out of court for significant damages. More recently, what we've come across, and I believe this was an Athens-based password situation. It was an overseas student working studying in the UK university. There was massive usage on their account, possibly multiple passwords. I don't know the specific details on that, but basically it was our word against theirs. They just said that their password had either been phished or had been stolen. So we had no redress on that. So I'm not going to go through these individually, running out of time, but what I summarise as there's two key issues. One is price. Price causes the problem, but it isn't the problem. Access is the problem, and controlling access in a reasonable way that we can all work with. Within the access, you've got the creep issue, where you're extending your business models, and then there's what I call the illegal use thing, which is not your doing, but there is a possibility that as you extend your business models into less sensible parts of the world, that information culture and their attention to usage of our information may not be as assiduous as it is in the United Kingdom. By way of solutions, I'd say there are supplier side. We could look at price, we don't want to. We can look at product differentiation, I said we don't want to. We can monitor and control usage. We look at it, but that's sort of after the horse has bolted. We also can use technical measures, looking at usage algorithms either to speed up or diminish access to it. We also look to you as institutions to police it, look at the identity and user authorization. It's really about who's taking responsibility. We need the responsibility, and an understanding of new business models is important to all of us. I'm about to be thrown out, so I'll stop there, and please pick up any questions in the aftermath of the panel session. So thank you very much for listening to me.